Hi everybody, this is Professor Wagle. I apologize for the delay in posting this lecture for the week. I was under the weather over the long weekend and it's taken me a while to get back in the scheme of things. Before I get into the assignments that are due this week, I want to talk to my section 313 specifically. So if you are in section 314, this does not apply to you regarding deadlines. This only applies to section 313. Uh, it looks like section 313's module 6 did not get published fully, or there was a glitch and some people could not see all the assignments or the module properly. Thank you, Claire, for bringing this to my attention. So, just for section 313, I am increasing the deadline for section 313 for the three assignments that were due this week. One was due today at midnight, which was resume conventions. The other two were resume, final resume, and final LinkedIn headline and profile. Uh, okay, so please check your deadlines for section 313 when your stuff is due. I have hopefully given you enough time. If you still feel you need more time, let me know and I will see what I can do about it. Okay, now this from this part onward, this is for all the two sections, both the sections 313 and 314. So I've had some questions regarding resume conventions, the assignment. This is a really easy assignment, guys. Do not overthink it. Basically, what you're doing is looking at resumes from the 60s and the 70s and the 80s, right? You have three different resumes. You're looking at those resumes and seeing how resume trends, conventions have changed over the decades, right? So, for example, in the 60s resume, you will see that the person whose resume we are looking at mentions their marital status. They mention their age, their weight, and their height. Things that we do not mention anymore on our resumes, right? Things that employers are forbidden by law to ask you during your interview or to demand those from your resumes or from your LinkedIn profiles. So these are things that are kind of outdated, right? So you need to look at those conventions. However, some things still remain the same, right? Like your name or your contact information, kind of stuff you put in there, your education, your work experience. However, even within those categories, other things have changed. For example, in your contact information, we now mention emails. In 65, nobody really put in their email address because internet was not a big phenomenon. Nobody really had emails that they were using regularly, so nobody put those up, right? So think about how these resumes have changed over the decades, and that's all you're doing. It's just a informative post. You have a small worksheet that you can fill out just to give you a reference point when you write your discussion post, right? So you can write down contact information, yes, but you can still note down the contact information also has changed over the years, right? Stuff like that. That's all it's asking. Another part in it that seems to have confused some of you was how would this resume for a social worker look like in 2020? Some of you think from your emails that I've got is you have to write a whole resume for this person. You don't. You just kind of are speculating what this resume would look like in 2020. That's it, just a line or two. In 2020, this resume would not mention these things, or would specifically mention these things, or mention the work experience in a specific way. That's all you're doing, right? So do not overthink this assignment. It's a very simple assignment. So just go over, look at all the resumes over the decades, how they've changed, notice some of the things that look obvious to you, that are really glaring, and just like a small paragraph, 5 6 lines, that's all I'm asking, right? Not too difficult. Okay, so that's the first one. Now the second assignment, and let me pull this up here, is your resume final and then your LinkedIn headline and profile. Now, okay, there we go. Okay, so now your LinkedIn profile headline and summary. A lot of you did do the rough draft of it and got good peer reviews for it if you had submitted it within the deadline, right? And I went over some of the I went over all the feedback that you got from your peers, and they gave you really good feedback. So I suggest go and read the feedback you got, because they did not say anything I would not have said. They kind of did the job for me. However, they are writing and giving you really good comprehensive feedback, so listen to them. Okay, if you did not get a feedback because you probably did not submit your assignment on time, I suggest going back to the LinkedIn 101 PowerPoint that I have put up. It gives you examples of how your headline should look like. It gives you examples of what you can do with your summary for your LinkedIn, right? So go look at those and modulate your headlines and your summary accordingly. Make sure, again, like in all things technical writing, your headline should be specific. Do not just say student at University of North Texas. That does not tell an employer anything, right? Create your own brand, but and be specific while creating it, right? What is it you're selling? So if you are a psychology major, you can say psychology major with a 3.4 GPA at University of North Texas. You could mention your majors in there. So be very, very specific about that stuff. If you are in customer service, talk about that. Whatever it is, don't go with I am a student at university. That's not a headline. Your headlines, think about the headlines you see on news sites, on magazines. What kind of headlines are those, right? They are short and specific, but they give you an idea of what is to come. So your headline should be really concise but impactful. It should catch the attention of the reader. So again, look at the examples in the PowerPoint. Look at some other people, how they have written their headlines, how they have written their profiles. Don't write a 4 line paragraph and call it a summary, right? Give a potential employer an idea of who you are, why they should hire you. Talk about your volunteer work, talk about other things that make you stand apart. So think about those things when you do the headline and you do the summary, right? So look at all those things. Do a really good job of it. If you need individual specific feedback on your headline profile, on your headline or on your summary, or on your resume, come meet me during my office hours. I am in GAB 543, and I will put that up again. It's in my first announcement pages. Every Tuesday and Thursday from 1 to 2, I am in the office. If you need specific individual feedback on your resume, on your LinkedIn headline and profile, come and meet me, talk to me, and I will give you that feedback, right? Because I can do only so much on here on Canvas. If you do not have time to come meet me this week or next week, you can do it throughout the semester whenever you want to, right? Later in the semester, I might give you a chance to redo your resume if you feel like you can do a better job. But right now, when I grade it, I will use the rubric and grade it accordingly, because it's just that much easier for me to get my feedback to you faster. And the rubric kind of says everything that it needs to be said, right? So that's your LinkedIn profile, headline, and summary. And about your resume too. So a lot of you did do really good resumes that I looked at in the rough draft. If you still got feedback from your peers about changing a few things, do those things, right? So for example, in your work category, if you do not have your work in your experience category, if you do not have your bullet points starting with action verbs, do those, right? Stocked shelves for 8 hours on weekends. managed cash for whatever reason, right? Things like that. Be specific. Again, if you took care of, say, 20 customers during each shift, or took care of petty change, or whatever it is, mention specific amounts. Again, your resumes are as good as how specific they are, right? If you do not have work experience, that's something a lot of my students struggle with, because they are coming off of high school, they really haven't have done any work experience, and they feel like they don't need to put that in, or they don't want to write anything in work experience. But even if you do not have a work experience in the traditional sense, where you went for a job, you logged in and you were paid a salary, that's what typically we think of when we think of work experience. But that's not always true. If you volunteered for something, you can add that in as your work experience. Instead of saying volunteer, put it as work experience and say you are, talk about your position, you are a volunteer for whatever organization, and write a list of jobs, things that you did for them, right? Now your resume also asks you to post a internship posting for which you will be applying. So again, when you find a posting, do not find a posting which is for a fast food job or some kind of other blue collar jobs. Find a posting, even if you're not going to apply for it over the summer, maybe you are applying for it next summer, right? Or over the winter break. Look for postings that would help you in your resume, in your experience through your undergrad career. So look for internship postings, and it will give you an idea what kind of experience you will need to apply for these, or what kind of qualifications you will need to apply for these postings. So look for a internship posting in the field that you are going to work in. Do not look for a job posting in Chipotle, unless that's the field you're going to be working in for the rest of your life, right? So look for an internship posting that is related to your major, that's related to the career you're trying to pursue after graduation. So an internship posting, a volunteer posting, or whatever it is, and make sure you put a link to that posting so that I know that you are formatting your resume, customizing your resume to that posting. So, what does it mean to customize your resume to that posting? Basically, look at, and it's really, really easy. What you're looking at is, what are the company's preferences? Usually, the first three things they require of a potential applicant are something you should highlight in yours. So, say they are saying the ideal candidate should have, and the first bullet point says, GPA 3.5 or above. The second one says proficient or should have taken these, and these classes or courses, right? And the third bullet point says should have experience working in a fast paced environment or anything of that sort, right? That tells you that they are kind of prioritizing education, your GPA, over your experience, right? They might even say experience preferred but not required. That means they are kind of prioritizing your education over experience. Some jobs it might get flipped up. They might say experience, previous internship experience required. However, the GPA or the education might be lower in their preference list. So when you see those things, you can format your resume accordingly. If education is what they prefer first, they list first, then you write your education in your list of in your resume first. If they prefer experience first, then experience you write first, and then education after that, right? So it's just like small little tweaks you do depending on what job you're applying for, what the employer is looking for. So stuff like that. Look for keywords that they put in their in their posting, and try to use those keywords in yours, right? So if they say proficient in a bunch of software programs and you are proficient in those, write those down. Proficient in this, proficient in that, right? Whatever they're saying, try to use their keywords in your resume, and that will kind of grab their attention, because they are the ones who have written this job posting and they are looking for those keywords, right? So that's all I have for you for your assignments due this week. Resume conventions for 314, they're due at the end of the day today. For 313, they're due on Friday. You should, it's a simple assignment, so you should be able to finish it by Friday. If not, let me know and I will extend the deadline for you. uh, for 314, your resume and LinkedIn headline and profile, those are due on Saturday. For 313, they are due on Sunday, right? So hopefully you guys will be able to finish all of these assignments in time. Your next module, as far as I remember, is teamwork. You start your teamwork. Let me just look it up quick. You start your teamwork assignments from next week. I will try to stay on top of things, and I will post your video for your team assignments on Friday, so you have an idea what's coming up. Okay. Module reading, answering question. Well, no, so your module 7 is kind of relatively very easy, and module 8 is what you'll do with your teamwork. So I will be assigning you teams for your teamwork. You should get in touch with each other soon enough. I will email individual teams so you know what's going on. But your next module is pretty easy, so don't worry too much about that. Focus on your resume and LinkedIn headline and profile, because those are kind of important for you guys, right? So focus on those for now, and I will talk to you about module 7 and 8 later in the week. Okay. Talk to you later. Have fun. Bye.